Do you have something that lets you relax and leave everything behind for even just a few minutes? Something that clears your mind and lets you enjoy the now rather than dwell on the past and future? That's probably a form of escapism. Escapism is one of the most common and important things that the majority of, if not all people partake in. Despite this, escapism isn't something that often comes up in conversation. Rather, other terms that are associated come up. Terms like hobbies, pastimes, and recreations come up instead. Regardless, escapism is still present in everyday life, and despite there being a plethora of examples, just some of these are reading, playing games, listening to music, and really any form of consuming media. The only commonality between forms of escapism is that they let the person escape, leaving behind all of their responsibilities and worries for however long they want. Because of this, almost anything can be a form of escapism, and that doesn't exclude something like television. Television is a really common form of escapism for many people because of its wide range of possibilities. It's a well-known fact that people tend to be drawn to things that they don't have, and the fact that almost anything can happen when it comes to television only makes it more appealing. And this is even more so true in regard to anime. Anime specifically isn't bound by what can and can't be done on a set, nor is it bound by realistically plausible feats, because it's animated. Although anime often covers stories and themes present in other live-action shows, the fact that the only limiter to how beautiful an anime can be is the budget shows how different a simple love story can be just by turning it into an anime. Something as bizarre and random as a fantasy story with an overpowered main character from our world is much easier to create with a much smaller budget, yet it still gives its viewers a sense of surreality that they wished they had in their own lives. Even though I said anime has a lot more possibilities when it comes to creating worlds and stories that anybody can be sucked into, it has both good and bad shows. These good shows that somebody can enjoy because of the realistic writing, the likable characters, and the enjoyable plot are often ones that people look to when they want to escape from whatever's holding them down in the real world. These realistic shows tell a story that almost flaunts what could have been, and that's what we anime watchers often look for in our own lives. As I said earlier, when looking to anime as an escape, one often wants to witness things that they themselves never could do in their lives, or things that seem impossible to them so that they know when there's a will, there's a way. Someone can't always suddenly leave their home to embark on a world-saving adventure or stumble upon the love of their life, so instead they look to anime for these experiences. They project themselves onto these fictional characters and their actions because the stories portrayed by anime allow the viewer to leave behind their miserable and unfulfilling lives for 20 minutes an episode and enjoy a fantasy that they likely won't ever be able to experience in their lifetime, whether it be because it's scientifically implausible or because they fail time and time again in their lives, becoming numb to the world around them. Adventures are only really one example of something that could be used for escapism. In actuality, there are many, many more. One of the key reasons that something like isekai has gotten so popular is because it allows people who fit the common stereotype of an anime watcher the ability to project onto a character who is being given another chance at life. A lot of isekai protagonists are ones that are into games, anime, and the overall culture surrounding the internet, so when these characters are transported into another world, being given the chance to make friends and do something fun with their lives rather than spend it in a cycle of sadness and boredom, the viewers begin to relate to this seemingly generic character because they want to be able to redo what they deem a pathetic life. This is the reason why isekai is popular and will continue to be, because the viewers use it as a way to comfort themselves and essentially escape from whatever they hate about the life they've made for themselves. At its core, escapism is the wanting for a way out of life at the moment. Isekai does this by placing the viewer in a world and life that they could never even imagine, but romance, on the other hand, places the viewer in a world we know all too well. But the twist is that we now get to watch characters live out and enjoy their youth in ways that we never could. Romance is one of the most common forms of escapism within the anime community because of the fact that many people simply can't. They can't interact with others, make friends, enter into romantic relationships, or enjoy their youth as much as they'd like to. Maybe it's because they're antisocial, because they're not good looking, because they worry too much about what others will think of them, or they just may not be able to bring themselves to trust those around them. But regardless of any of those things, romance stands as a place for lonely anime watchers to escape from their continuously deepening pit of sorrow into a world where even the ugliest and most pessimistic of people can be happy in the end, living a fulfilling youth. Isekai may be there for those who are bored with their lives, but the romance genre is there for those who regret their choices during one of the most important periods of their life. And that is why romance is the most watched genre under the pretense of escapism. There are countless genres within anime and television as a whole, and each one represents something when it comes to escapism. Naming and describing every single one would not only take a lengthy amount of time, but also feel repetitive because at the center of it all, people resort to escapism because they're not satisfied. There are a limitless number of things that can happen in life that set us back, make us feel worse, and overall make living something much more painful than enjoyable. And although people can and have worked their way out of this pain, it's not something that everyone can do. Most people just sit in their sadness, utilizing different forms of entertainment to distract them from the burdens of living. Even if it's only for a few minutes or seconds, these moments of relaxation are almost addicting. It's a coping mechanism that lets you do away with everything bothering you, and that's why it's such a powerful and common thing. Sometimes the sadness itself becomes addicting. Despite this depressing, if not even sickening connotation of escapism, it can often be something good because of the subsequent feelings and the sheer amount of happiness it brings. It may not be healthy to immerse oneself fully into the world of an anime or manga, but doing it here and there is something good, because it allows your brain to relax and enjoy something. Yes, many coping mechanisms can and are bad for your mental health, but so is the lack thereof. Using anime as a form of escapism allows one to project onto characters and watch these characters enjoy something that they never could. Again, this form of projecting is something good and is, for some, the equivalent of venting or crying because it allows them a way to clear their minds and relax. Not everyone has a shoulder to lean on in their toughest of times, nor does everyone even have someone to talk to about any of their problems. So escapism through something as seemingly basic as anime really is their only way of coping with life's challenges. As the viewer, you could be going through the worst time of your life, but these 20 minutes that you get to watch some cute high school girls play in a band with no cares at all, focused only on their right then and there, has somewhat of a melancholic joy to it, which highlights how simplistic life used to be, and how simplistic our current struggles will be in comparison to the future. Other than showing us what we don't have, anime shows us viewers the fact that time passes and the fact that eventually, right now struggles will be distant memories that we'll glance back at with a sense reminiscent of nostalgia. For me personally, anime was one of, if not the only form of escapism that I experienced. I don't necessarily have specific shows that helped, but the romance and slice of life genres as a whole were my pick of the bunch. Although these past few years were some of the loneliest, I didn't watch these shows to view others' experiences of what I didn't have, but rather, I felt an unexplainable sadness that was subsided by these shows. For me, the hours upon hours that I watched of romance shows were my way of escaping from whatever was going on at the time. And although others may have completely different reasons than I do for watching the same shows, all of it is under the pretense of escapism and shows just how powerful something as simple as anime can be when it comes to affecting someone. As I said, everyone experiences escapism in different ways, but one thing that is shared is the fact that we all have something we want to escape from. We want to get away from something, and thus we often look to entertainment. Anime is just one of these many forms of entertainment that offer this escape through its plethora of shows. Despite there being countless forms of escapism such as shows, movies, music, games, anime just happens to be what people like you and I enjoy the most. Thank you for watching, and please like and subscribe if you did enjoy the video.